Joining us to discuss the Leo platform of technologies is Dr. Brandi Burton. Dr. Burton received her DVM from the University of Illinois in 2019. She developed an interest in swine medicine and production through the Animal Science Department at the University of Illinois as an undergraduate, and then participating in the Iowa State University Swine Veterinary Internship Program in veterinary school. Dr. Burton is here today to talk to us about Leo, who is a very gracious sponsor of our event. And I've had the very fortunate experience of getting to interact with the Leo team, both here and in the Netherlands, where their technology is applied to quite a few commercial production systems. I think you're really going to enjoy the message we hear from Dr. Burton today. So let's bring her up to the main stage, and I'll turn it over to you, Brandi, as you talk to us about the Leo technology and how you guys use it.
Yes, thank you, Clayton. I'm glad to be here, glad to be talking on Leo's behalf. To start off with things, we're going to have a video first from Peter, who's the CEO. He's located in the Netherlands, so a little bit of a time difference. So that's why we'll have a pre-recorded video to start off with from him.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Peter te Linde. I'm currently the CEO of Leo. Before I give the word to Dr. Brandi Burton, I would like to take a couple of minutes to tell you a little bit about Leo, about who we are and where you will find us. So what is it that Leo actually does? We are mostly known for our supply chain traceability. Everything that's happening to the individual animal from the minute it's being born all the way up to slaughter, we have everything done in our system digitally. So we create a digital individual animal passport that's fully traceable throughout the lifespan of that animal. Of course, everything we do is on the individual level. And we use that information to optimize production, of course. There's a lot of things you can learn from that data. And we use that to optimize your farm with the current, kind of as you know, farm management solutions. Because we have so much individual data into our systems and fairly easy ways to get it in there, research companies throughout the world use our system quite a lot to do their trials and validations. This is kind of an overview of what it is that our system actually does. You can see in this graph here is that what the minute the animal is being born, let's say from the multiplier, you can see exactly who's been in contact with that animal. Everything that's been registered, feed, medication, what type of weights, everything you know about that animal is being imported in our system through our app or through other systems within our ecosystem. The minute the animal transfers ownership, the digital passport travels with that animal. And you, as a owner of the animal, can determine what type of data you want to share with the next owner. Very important part for us is that data ownership means a lot to us and our customers. So within our system, you're fully capable of determining that yourself. And then when it reaches slaughter, we make it possible to get slaughter data back into our system, so you will actually see exactly what's going on with that animal throughout its lifespan. And if you want to use those as claims to your consumer, so let's say antibiotic-free animals or high animal welfare or certain carbon footprints calculations that you want to do for your customers, it's very easy to do so with Leo. So what do we work with? In general, the mostly used part of our system is the app. The app lets you register everything that you do inside the barn. Every single piece of data you're recording inside the barn can be processed through our app, and all comes together within our web portal. All the data you capture within the barns are all, when the data information is there, when you have a cellular reception or whatsoever, everything is sent to our dashboard. Of course, we use digital ear tags to register the information. So we use readers to read those out and get that information into our app. Automatic connection with scales, feeding systems, and even electronic sow feeding systems like, for instance, NeedApp gives you the possibility to enter and make that individual data and individual animal passport way more complete. The next video shows you a little bit about a primary process that we use within our system is the birth registration process. So let's take a look so you can see how easy it is to do those registrations. The piglets are here. You see the Leo app. There's a little RFID reader, this one we use for UHF tags, the Leo piglet scale, and of course the RFID ear tags. So you just scan the location like that, and you start collecting. You can see the user here, she just touches the RFID reader, the scan comes into our system, she picks up the piglet, drops it in the bucket, and when the weight is being stabilized, you can pick it out, and our app knows exactly what you are doing, and she's just waiting for the next input. It's a very easy way to, without having to constantly interface with your mobile phone or your tablet, you can just go on overview of your litter, what that looks like in the dashboard. And if you have a more complete dashboard, this is all the type of information that you get. And then everything that's happening to the animal throughout this lifespan eventually comes to the slaughter plant. At that point, you can see in the picture on the right side a manual, and the two black panels on the side are the automated readers. So we actually scan the carcass information. And since the information is already synchronized with the slaughter plant, we can see and make claims on those specific animals. Complete history of locations, what type of concept or claims you want to have on those animals. Did it have antibiotics, yes or no? And of course, this all depends on what data is it that you want to share and who wants you to access that. It's fully in control over that data part. And then automatically, when that data collection is done, you get that back into our system in an automated process. So the packer delivery slots, as you can see them right here, you can see every individual animal. With the green one is the ear tag in there, and you can see all the technical results. And our system then, as you can see on the right side, makes a full calculation and overview of what has been the performance of that animal in the different stages of its life. So full insight on what has happened to the animal, independent on where the animal has been in his life. So where will you find Leo then? This is an overview of the activities that we are currently having. Because supply chain traceability is such an important thing right now, we have actually in Europe 2 countries who decided to go full traceable, and they've chosen our system to do that. So we can see that traceability is not something that's only coming from internally, from the integrations or the customers internally, but also governments really want to have that traceability in place. And that's, especially in Europe, a very important thing right now. So to tell you a little bit what we learned from Leo, I think it's now's the time to give the word to Dr. Brandi Burton, who has been a power user of Leo, as we call it, for quite a while now. And she can tell you a whole lot about what you can do with Leo and what you can actually learn from all the individual animal data. Thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you in the future soon.
Great. So now that you kind of understand more of what Leo is on a general basis and all the functionality of it, I'm going to speak, I'm part of implementing this system in a commercial setting. So I have the privilege to work with a system. It's a 2,500 head farrow to finish commercial system where the sow farm is located in Northwest Iowa, and all the pigs are kept together as a system and finished in Northern Iowa in Southern Minnesota. In February of 2020, the decision was made to tag the whole farm and fully implement this Leo system. And so we went ahead and placed RFID tags in the entire sow farm. So we placed tags in all the sows and gilts in about a 1-week period. And we also tagged crates so we can identify locations of these sows and these piglets throughout their life. And then after all the sows were tagged and we started implementing that, from then on, we implemented this with all the piglets as well. So every single piglet that's born on this farm is individually tagged at birth. And with that, we can have information on each individual animal regarding their sex. All birth weights and wean weights are collected as well. And then we can also scan in things like mortalities and reasons for those mortalities and anything for that matter. If there's a wish or a want to look at something on an individual basis, we have the ability to do so with Leo. And so it's just amazing the scope we are able to gain with this system on the individual animal basis. So this is just in 2020. So mind that we didn't start this really fully until about February here, as you can see in this figure. And so in the year of 2020 alone, we had over 70,000 births recorded, over 54,000 weanings, 13,000 services, 10,000 adoptions is what the app calls it. We'll call that a cross foster. And then they call them dropouts. We call them deaths, but there's been over 17,000 of those recorded as well. And so you can imagine the scope has grown even more going into 2021. We can increase those numbers by 50% each. And so we're looking at over 100,000 pigs in this system for our client here. And so you can just, the amount of information and the ability to use this information is just immense. And so this sow farm, the caretakers and all the farm staff will have mobile apps, and they carry around those with their daily chores and everything that they do. And so this is the screen that they see. And so you can see here at the very top, we have what we call a work list. And then from there, we have get info, activities to pen to group. And these are just different buttons you can press to really navigate the system on that mobile device. And here, this is a newer component of Leo on the application, and this is what we call a work list. And so this can really help drive the farm staff to their tasks for the day. So you can see here we have move to farrowing, and once you click that, all those sows that need to be moved will be listed there, and you can perform those activities one by one and follow that through this list here, which has just been a tremendous help for the farm to really understand and see what they have to do and kind of, check those boxes out. And so we can do birthing there, which would be the sows that are due to farrow, and then the pigs that are due to wean. So you can kind of go through those step by steps and see really what you have for that day and which individual animals really need to be looked at and taken care of for the day to make sure that all of your tasks are getting done appropriately. And so this is just another view of what you can see on the mobile device. So the farm staff at their fingertips can go into all these windows here and really get down to the individual basis of each of these animals. So I'll walk you through what these screens look like. Starting in the left, so this is our barns. And so at the sow farm, we have them separated by farrowing and gestation. And so here we can click into farrowing, and you can see that gives us an inventory right there of 355 sows and the number of animals as well. So that would be including the piglets. And then you go into the next one, and that's our rooms. So this sow farm has 14 rooms, and so we have them broken down individually. Again, you can really see the number of animals in each of those rooms, 30 sows, 416 piglets, and so on. So you can start getting inventory and ideas based off the numbers of each room. Getting even more specific within that room. So we selected room 1 here. You can go down to the crate basis. So we can look at the layout of the farm and look at each of those crates and what those sows are doing in each of those locations. Again, it tells you the number of sows, the piglets, and those weights and sexes. And so you can start digging into what's really happening on a crate basis. And then we've selected one sow here, and it gives you just what we call, a background or something of an insight of that passport that Peter had mentioned earlier. And so you can see here, she's a parity 2 sow with 17 offspring. And as you scroll down, there'll be more information. So everything that's been recorded on that sow, we can get at our fingertips right there on the mobile device next to her pen. So that would be more on the farm side and what the crew has at their fingertips on those cell phones that they have and the mobile devices. And so when I'm at the office and I'm not able to be on farm all the time, I can monitor and look into things from my computer and what they call the back office or that web portal, as Peter had mentioned. And so when I log on to Leo, I have created a customized dashboard. And so whenever I log on, this is the first thing I see. And I've created this and picked what they call widgets to really focus my attention to the things that I want to see right away. So across the top here, just a distribution of birth weights, and then averages for 7 days, and 5 weeks. And just looking at trends is kind of why I like to see it. And so you can see here how things are going at a very quick pace, and you can really identify what you want to see. So my dashboard can be a lot different than what your dashboard would be, and we just have differences in opinions as far as what we want to focus on, and you can really tailor it and individualize it for yourself. And then going through those widgets, and there's tons and tons, and I won't do justice on all the things that you can look at with these widgets. They have already pre-programmed into Leo, but you can basically start investigating and digging into different trends and look at things over time, things on a group of pigs, however you would want to look at data. And they can build you some very easily, very visual diagrams, which I'm a visual person, so I always appreciate this. So this is, you can see here, this is a widget that looks at birth history by sex over time. And so you can pick that timeline, and then going through those dots, you can select different time points and look at those pigs that are creating that time point for you as well. There's just a great deal that you can do with these widgets they have already built into the system, and really start investigating different trends, potential problems, and whatnot. And then this is one thing I like to do as well, is you can really export any of this information that is collected in Leo. There's ways to export that to Excel and then do what you want with that information. And so what I really like to do is build my own analysis and take all these columns and try to make my own charts and look at things, look at trends, trying to just do more investigation. And you can also then export this and upload it and make it however formatable way into other systems that you may use. And so here you can see on this right, there's all these things listed here, and those are columns. And so in an Excel file, these would be a list of all the columns you can export. And so you can get that piglet ID, and each piglet can have their own row. And then within that row, you can have their mom's parity, birth weight, any weight that's been taken, wean weight. If that pig has died, the mortalities can be there. So everything on that individual basis can be tracked in a very easy way, looking at this information through Excel. So it's really handy to also have that capability to not only use the widgets and the diagrams and figures that they can make for you on the back office, but then you can also export that information and do what you want with that data as well. And so one way that we've done this, and one way I'd like to just start talking about how we've applied this, especially looking at this in a commercial setting. So how do we use all this information that we have? And one way that we've done this is by exporting the information and trying to look at different components that might be contributing to pre-weaning mortality. This farm has a traditionally higher pre-weaning mortality that we've been trying to investigate and really tackle for a long time. And so one of the ways that we did this, we started looking at birth weights and how that relates to pre-weaning mortality. And I'll have to thank Amanda Anderson. She's a veterinary student at Iowa State. She's the one that was able to do this analysis for us. But what you're looking at here are different weight categories along the bottom here. And then the blue bars will be the percent of pre-wean mortality. And the orange bars, which are very little data at this point when this was taken, would be post-weaning mortalities. And so overall, you can get a really good sense of what the mortalities look like based off of their weight at birth. And so you can see here, those younger or those lower birth weights, there's no surprise that those have a higher mortality rate. But look at, I mean, what is that, 1.7 to 1.8? Anything less than those weights are over 60% pre-weaning mortality. That is just immense amount. And when we get down to 2 pounds, we're looking at over probably as a total 70% of those pigs not making it past that weaning stage. And so what the farm was able to do is make the decision to go ahead and euthanize animals that are not even likely going to make it, in hopes that the bigger pigs, the ones that are more likely to make it, can have a better chance to survive. So can we lower these bars even further down for those higher weights at birth without those small pigs being on the sow for that long? And then can we also increase their weight at weaning? And so that would be one way we've been able to use this information to make a decision, and then also investigate and monitor what those decisions, the effect those have on the farm and actual production of the farm. And then this was a really interesting one. We are, like I just said, are trying to investigate a little bit more on this pre-weaning issue that we have, pre-weaning mortality issue. And so one thing that we had an idea was looking at ventilation. This sow farm is an older sow farm, and the ventilation in each of the farrowing rooms is a little unique in that one side of the room has the inlets in the ceiling. And so is there a draft that we don't really pick up that the pigs do? And so because Leo and the capabilities of having all of those sows and piglets tracked by farrowing crate, we were very easily able to pull information and look at pre-weaning mortality on an individual crate basis. And so on the left here, you can see this is a composite of all the rooms by crate. And this is kind of the setup of the sow room going from 115 on one side and 16 through 30 on the other. And then we broke it down by room. So is there a room difference? Is there something that we need to focus on in one room versus another? And so that's that middle diagram there, those figures there. And then the far right one is a section. And so we're just able to really investigate something that we normally wouldn't be able to otherwise with without this system. And we had all this information already recorded. And so we didn't have to come up with an idea and then wait to implement that and investigate it. We already had this information. And so it was fairly easy to look at it right away when we had this idea. So just a lot. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of things we can start looking at. It's just amazing what we haven't yet discovered using the system. And so with that, I'd like to thank you, and I am ready to take any questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Brandi. Excellent presentation. I expect nothing less from an Illini, so good job. Represent.
Thank you.
I think you did a great job you and Peter did a great job of talking about the transparency that Leo can bring you. You've got transparency into weights. You've got transparency into treatments. You've got transparency into slaughter data. And most producers don't have that in process today. Best case scenario, we know what the pigs weighed when we sold them because the packer told us. But you get a unique ability to dive into live production. Can you talk to us, Brandi, a little bit about your opinion, the type of producer that can successfully implement Leo right now? In terms of, what sort of mindset they have and what sort of value they can create with the system.
Yeah, no, and that is a good question to ask and thing to bring up because implementing technology is always, people think it's a little bit harder than it might be. And so this farm that we've done this with, the farm itself is one of those weird ones where turnover is not an issue. The same workers have been averaging there for 9 years. The longest one, most veteran, I'll call him, has been there 26 years. And so these guys, I'd say, are more of a veteran crew. And so typically I would think that they might be the ones to not want to change and not adapt to a technology. And they took it, they had an open mind and accepted it, and they've done really great. So I think any producer that's just open to really diving into data and having that interest and having a farm crew that's also interested in having that data at their fingertips and thinks it's fun and really appreciates all the information that's going into there. Those are the people that are going to be able to really succeed and just take it all the way.
Have they talked to their packer at all about this information and the fact that we can identify that pig all the way through the slaughter process? Is there interest on the packer side there?
Yes. So it is a little different than Europe today in that we just don't have the facilities and the design that Europe does in implementing this technology already. So we'd have to do some changes as far as shackles and things like that. It is a conversation that's being had. There is a lot more push. And like Peter had mentioned before, you can identify antibiotic-free animals. And maybe going forward, is this something that we can use to identify pigs that are compliant with Prop 12 and things like that? So I think the more our industry is moving towards having that traceability, that transparency, it makes a lot more sense for the packers to also be interested in that. And so I will say conversations are being had. I'm not in those necessarily, so I can't say exactly how much momentum we have, but I'd be surprised if there wasn't a big push for this going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk a little bit, Brandi, about the time commitment to get those pig weights at birth and at weaning? Is that a big time commitment, doable? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so it does take some training, and any process, a new process you implement is going to take a little bit of time. But once you get that going, I don't believe I think today the farm workers will say it isn't as bad as they originally thought when you tell them they have to weigh every pig at birth and at weaning. I will say that they at first maybe worked a couple more hours here and there to start the implementation, but today they don't work any longer than they have in the past, and we did not need to add any more personnel. So I think that just really relays the message. It can be done. It's just another process in the day-to-day chores.
Very good. How about the, I guess, comfortability or ease of setting up those widgets? Is that something that you need to be really tech savvy to personalize your dashboard, or is that pretty easy for you to set up as a user?
Yeah, the basic information is very, very easy. It walks you through. It's pretty straightforward on how to set up those widgets. When you want to start digging into different questions that are a little bit more, a little bit more complicated, you might need a little bit assistance, just making sure you're setting up for exactly what you want to look at. And the Leo support team is awesome. They're very responsive and very quick to get you those information and how to do that. But I'd say overall, those widgets are very straightforward and walk you through exactly what you are looking for. There's filter buttons, everything's a button. So it is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, good. Don't tell Joel and Peter I said this. This is just between you and I here, but they're pretty good guys and they seem to know what they're doing.
Yes, they're very helpful, and they're just willing, super willing to really do anything it is to help and dig into some of this data and implementation. So it's been awesome.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Burton.